All right, I see 6 o'clock, so I will call to order the November 3rd, 2025 Village Board of Trustees. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice. Of course, that's it.
Net it off, it's fine.
I'm going off.
There you go, we're fine.
All right, roll call, please.
Yes, President Service,
Present.
Trustee Spayman,
Here.
Bonner, here. It's not here.
He's got his babies there.
Okay, I go grab
Here.
Hasmar.
Here.
Ziegler.
Here.
You have quorums.
All right, was the meeting
The
posted?
meeting was posted, it's required by law.
Here. Public participation as permitted by Wisconsin open meetings law and while not required, the village board allows public participation during this section of the meeting. Participants may speak for up to 3 minutes. To submit written comment to the board regarding an item on the agenda, please email clerk@BellevilleWI.gov prior to 3 p.m. on the day of a board meeting. The village board shall make no decision or consideration of action of citizen comments for items not on the agenda, except to refer the matter to the village administrator or to schedule the matter for board consideration at a later date. An agenda item does not have public hearing listed. The board does not have to allow public participation. However, the chair can, at their own discretion, allow limited public comment. Any public comment tonight?
No one signed up for this time.
To item 6, the consent agenda. All items on the consent agenda are considered routine and will be enacted in one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a board member requests it, in which event the item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered the first item after the approval of the consent agenda.
Can I make a motion, we approve the consent agenda?
Second. Tonight's consent agenda, we have village board meeting minutes from October 20th, October 25th, check 2025 check register, the raise order for 11 East Main Street, ordinance 2025-11, the West Village rezoning ordinance, and resolution 2025-33 supporting acquisition of outdoor recreation grant. So I have a motion by Debbie, seconded by Tony. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Passes. Okay.
What's the outdoor?
That's the Noel Nelson Stewardship Grant from the DNR for the purchase of the 2 park lots at Sharon Street. We were awarded it. And the DNR, I guess, prefers if we're passing an optional resolution saying, you know, we still want it.
Okay. Thank you.
President's report. I did not have any prepared outside of what's on the agenda. Staff reports.
Everyone loves leaf pickup, so I guess I'll give a quick briefing on the leaf pickup. It had honestly been our desire for perspective on operational efficiency to not start leaf pickup until next week, because there's certain things that have to be done before winter. Winterization of the restrooms in the parks, jetting of some of the problem water mains, and cleaning of the lift stations. Our demand for leaf pickup has been so great over the last week. We actually started last Friday. We did some today. So I guess what I'm saying is that it has started. It's a little more piecemeal because some of the things that we need to get done before cold weather sets in are not completely done. So it's not all just going to be in one shot. And there will likely, given the way it's going down, there probably will have to be a couple rounds of it this year. Not great for us from an operational perspective for staff, but It's just what's gonna need to happen. That's all I got.
Okay,
I wanted this thing. Really, it extends, but, if the fireworks did, allow that, and so a whole bunch of sticks on big tarp. They might fold the tarp back up and set it down nicely and off to the side and like, did not expect that. It's nice, the little bit of extra that all the art people do.
Good guys.
I was asked just to give you a little tour of what we're doing in the clerk's office with this building. You'll notice that we have posted agendas on the big bulletin board as you come into the left. We will be continuing to post agendas at Village Hall and here at Village Center. Also, copies of all the agendas for the week for anybody that wants one in public or here on the committees will be in the magazine racks, kind of under this window by the door. And we'll just put out all of the agendas for the week and then pick them up and replenish them on Friday when we post agendas.
Sharon Church.
Public hearing. So. It's open. I now open the public hearing regarding the 2026 annual operating and capital budget at 6:06 p.m. Dave's got a presentation for us.
Yeah, very similar to the one that the finance committee reviewed last week. Couple of changes slide wise, so I will share with you those. We're gonna go over kind of financial management planning, FY25 budget highlights of this year's current budget, our undesignated fund results and ongoing trends. And then we'll really be spending a majority of our time on FY 2026's budget highlights. So the tax levy, budget schedule, challenges that we face while budgeting, highlights, general fund snapshots, and then kind of just overall budget section reviews. We'll go over capital projects, special revenue funds, and then our enterprise funds. So plenty to handle tonight. Financial management planning is we work with Ellers to create our 5-year financial management plan. That works alongside the budget process. So the Finance and Governments Committee hears presentations 3 from Ellers, either Brian or Kayla, and they go through all of the different levers that we can pull and all of the mechanisms and kind of what areas the board should look at or what kind of things staff is kind of considering when making financial decisions. So it allows us to see out 5 years and we do projections on everything. That will probably be done March of next year for 25's budget. Ellers will be finishing that up. It preserves our capacity, it allows us to invest, allows us to prioritize public safety, parks, infrastructure, and retention. So major financial indicators that it looks at is debt, our annual growth, and our undesignated fund. Our budget highlights is we are at for revenues of 25, and this is not, this is year to date for at the end of October. We are at 126% of our revenues. The majority of that is the building permits from the new housing. So that is above and beyond. That's the 632%. License and permits, very similar to that is why. Yeah. Other than that, budget's pretty much where it's should be. So I feel very good about that. Expenditures, we are at 73% of our budget. I am not projecting us to get to our full budget capacity. So good or bad. Really what that has to do with, especially with public safety wise, is when you have staffing shortages or just staff not being able to be here, you use less fuel, use less electricity, you use less everything. And so we will have a surplus in our budget this year, which will be nice for conservation development is 364%, which is the building permits. We get a lot of revenue back, but we also have to send it to GEC who does our building permits as of right now. So yeah, so it is what comes and goes out for the most part on that. Our general fund balance results at this end of 23, we had $5,000 in our undesignated fund balance. In 22, we had a negative 100K in fund balance. We got it up to 5. At the end of last year, we got up to 643. At the end of this year, I'm projecting $1.9 million in undesignated fund balance. So we have a lot of money in our undesignated fund balance, which, yay, that's great. But our goal is between 25 and 35% of our operations. And so depending on what you guys do with a later agenda item, we will need to spend cash on some of the debt projects that we're going on, which is not bad. We're going to not take out less debt. So, and you will hear this from our auditors, if everything does come true, we are way above our policy maximum, so we will have to use cash to bring that closer down, which is totally fine. So in 21, we were negative 8.3 in our fund balance. We're now going to be, if things go as we think they are, 74% of our fund balance. So really good shape, very good shape on that. The village has adequate funds in our undesignated if something does happen. Any questions on that? Okay. Okay.
How did we, okay, I'm gonna back up a step. When I looked at our budget versus actual spend, we don't have a police department, so a lot of that may be in wages, which is not paid by the capital account. Does that go into the fund money account at 1.9?
Yeah, anything cash wise, we didn't budget for all the new housing. We were very conservative in that end, so we had a lot more surplus in that. We sold the depot, so that was $200 some thousand. We got developer deposits back. We got $100,000 from Petrie for his development deposits. So we've kind of all developer billing is
It's all done.
all done. So that was a large part of it. And then surpluses from staff and shortages.
Because that's the only way you can come to 1.9 is with all the wages that have been paid out.
And the 1.9 is building off of the 650 that we started this year with.
Okay, because that came from the resolution of the projects from 23 and 24. And that wasn't used because it was like
And capital projects,
95,000, huh?
we take that out as a rotating basis with a withdrawable loan. Or we know at the end of the year what we spent and so we can reimburse ourselves. And so capital projects, we're not covering this. This is just operating.
Okay, my question is this. Why are we not taking some of that money and reducing our debt?
We will be paying capital projects off, so we're not taking out as much debt. That's a much more financially prudent process. If the board approves the 1 East Main Street, we're paying out of cash for that, upgrades out of that building out of cash for that. So that is a much more financially better way to do it.
We could, in theory, pay down debt with excess cash. That's fine if the board wants to do that, but the vast majority of debt we have is 0 or very low percentage rate. It was taken out before percentage rate started to back up. The only exception being the debt we just issued for all the TID projects.
Because I was gonna say, we were paying, I asked that question, what was our rate? And it was like 7 point something.
We never got a 7 point something. The highest we had was 6 and change. And that was the nuclear storm we took out at the end of last year, but that was refunded recently with the division.
It was made for the response.
The debt issuances that we just
All right, so the tax levy, 2024, Dane County tax rate was 11.08, Green County was 9.44. 25's budget was 10.88, and Green County was 9.34. For the Dane County tax rate for this year is 11.01 and a 9.51, which is a 1.8% Green County tax rate and Dane County tax rate of 1.2%. The general fund saw 13% change. CDA saw 11, debt service saw -7, urban forestry saw 8, and senior center saw 5%, which came to a 4% tax levy increase in general. I will go through all of that. Our tax levy trends from 2016 to 2020 were pretty much a constant, just increase up. And I believe it was the reval that really, and COVID jumbled everything between 20 and 22. And then we've been a pretty consistent 23, 24, 25, 6. Next year will be a reval year. So that will adjust things. And as we know more about what that process has looked like, social media will be posted and we'll kind of make sure residents are up to date on that. But that is the assessor to get that to us and then we can get it out.
I can't say I've already talked to the assessor about that process and we're very much like prepared with. I have to make sure that. Or being tied in. Yep.
When are the taxpayers gonna get notification of the reval?
I mean, it really depends on how long it takes the assessors to assess. It's a lengthier process because one, they're new to the neighborhood and having started with this group this year. And so we didn't have a very firm timeline on exactly that. I do know that open book will be several days long and in person at Village Hall. And the board of review will probably end up later in the year, like we have this year where it'll be more like August or September before we have full open book. So we'll meet and then adjourn in May.
On 27, have to assess.
And 26, you'll have new assessed values.
26 payable and 27.
Yes, but it'll affect the 27 taxes,
Yes.
not the 26.
It will affect, yes, you're right, yes.
So the tax levy impact for Dane County. So this slide really just kind of gives the average home price of what you're going to see in your tax bill for the Dane County residents. So for a $200,000 home, you're going to see a $26 change. If you have a $400,000 home, you're going to see a $52 change. It's a $13 change per thousand. For the Dane County side, Greene County is slightly higher. For a $200,000 home, it's a $34 change. For a $400,000 home, it's $68. Any questions on that? Budget schedule, we budget all year round. Q1, we review a survey. If we sent one out last year, we did. This year, we haven't yet. So next year, we'll probably send one out just to make sure we kind of keep that every other year rotating basis. We look at the strategic plan and then department heads update their CIP. In Q2, I and the finance director review and present the 5-year capital plan. Q3, you approve it. And then the department heads start looking at their day-to-day budget requests. And then Q4 is where we are now. The FMP wraps up. We do the public hearing literally right now. And then budget approval at the next board. Budget challenges, just like every municipality, we are constrained by levy limits. We are constrained by residential financial capacity, just even though our budget may allow it, residents' budgets may not. And so that is something that we keep in mind when presenting to you what kind of budget we are recommending. Inflationary pressures, there's a lot of things like Alliant Energy and just day-to-day costs, fuel costs that we just don't have any say over. And so we are affected by inflationary issues just as much as you are in your own general day-to-day lives. Health insurance, we go through WRS ETF for health insurance and they determine what the rates are. And so that is not something that we have the ability to control or have any say over. Our treatment plant as a whole is fine. The equipment in there is starting to age. And so as capital projects, we will start reviewing through the water system study and the water quality planning trend and the wastewater treatment plan next year. Like we'll start really reviewing what that equipment looks like. And then we got the water system study. So plugging that into the CIP and figuring out what that looks like. And then just equipment costs. A Sterling plow truck costs as much as some homes. Like we have to buy equipment that's really expensive. And so making sure we're budgeting priorities for that, fixing where we can, making sure that if we are needing to buy a new vehicle, it's planned ahead of time. That way we're prepared for it. Fire trucks, EMS, big squad cars, loaders, all that, it's expensive. So making sure as long as we have so much time to plan, we can afford it and make sure we're in a good spot. All right. For budget highlights and overview, all funds at 7.5. That's water, sewer, and all the excess funds for the enterprise and special revenues. Our general fund budget is 2.7 million. Highlights, budget is balanced. The essential services have been maintained. And then the levy increase is, and then health insurance rate went up 8.8%. All right, so for the general fund central for revenues, we saw a, in the general fund, a minus 10% in taxes. We saw 1% change in intergovernmental aid. 74% in license and permits, that is your building permits for next year. Fines and forfeitures stayed constant. Public charges for services, minor changes based on just year-to-dates and kind of trends, but nothing major. Miscellaneous revenue, and then other financing.
I have a question.
Yep.
Last year, we had the expenditure restraint. A budget of 89,403 according to the revenue comparison to the budget, which I see we didn't get.
We got those metrics.
We haven't received it yet this year, but those aren't paid out. That and the rest of the state aid is paid out till mid-November. So you have another 2 weeks until they cut those checks.
Okay. Where is that gonna go?
General fund.
Yeah.
Excuse me?
General fund.
Okay. Are we eligible for 25?
As of right now, yes. That is what Ellers has advised.
Okay, how much?
They just, they tell me if we're in or out, and as of right now,
You know,
it's my understanding that we're in.
the expenditure restraint number didn't change. State share revenue went up a little bit, but the additional that they allowed for to take to replace the personal property, that went up by the multiplier they have in the legislation, but yeah, expenditure goes the same. It's like 89,000.
So why is that not in that? In revenues?
It would be in intergovernmental, well, I'm assuming it would be in intergovernmental aid. I don't.
I haven't found it.
ERP, it's right there under governmental aid. The budget document,
Governmental?
intergovernmental aid, it's in that's where it is in the budget.
Okay. Well, it's shown as a separate line item here.
Sure. Like I'm sure the what you call it, local road program,
Yeah,
those monies that they show up in streets as a those are also there.
revenues are right now 64% is out of taxes, 22% in our governmental aid, 7% license and permits, 5% miscellaneous, 1% fines and forfeitures, 0.5 for public charges for service, and 0.1 for other. For expenditures, there's 5 categories that the budget is broken down. That's pretty much state law on how that is to be structured. We have general government, public safety, public works, culture, recreation, and education, and conservation and development. There was a 34% change in general government, 5% in public safety. Public works was 21, culture, recreation was 6, and then conservation development was 175. Conservation development major change was the building. Public safety is 48% of our budget. General government is 26, public works is 17, conservation is 8, cultural recreation and education is 1.
Since we have very few police officers right now, what is the projected 26 number of officers? that we will have.
Working, I don't want to speak for chief, but they are doing recruitments now and interviews, and if they have valid candidates, they'll bring them for the village board for approval. But I don't want to speak for chief on how many or what he expects.
It's the same number of,
We have, the budget capacity and FTE status has not changed for police officers.
So, okay, so it'll be identical to what's in 25.
We have same number of sworn officers as we will have next year. We just may not be able to fill them for a little while, but we have the same number of positions. So
We're going to be levying for individuals that will have a sporadic start date, especially if they go to academy.
I think it really depends on who chief hires and what kind of positions they have, what kind of qualifications they come in. Like, it really just depends on what their background is. Some may not need the academy and can start a couple weeks after field training. Some might need an academy, some might come in with 20 years of service and we put them up as a lateral program. Like, it's kind of
And
up in the air. And then,
Well, and either way, they'll, whether they're going to academy or not, they're still on the payroll at that
Yes.
point, so.
we need the budget for it and levy for it, have enough money for it, that means, or we can not do those things. Not need.
so. Personnel, we spend 60% of our budget on personnel, 21% on contractual services, 18% on just day-to-day operations, lights, fuel, seeds, equipment, that kind of stuff, and then 2% on professional development. General government overview. I really won't walk through every one of these slides unless you have a question, but this is just the general government. What kind of was those major changes or what's going on there? Public safety. The only thing that I was talking to, DOR was having an issue with Montrose doing the line I adjustment for some reason, since they submitted that it didn't change, the contract changes technically. So if that is true, what we'll do is we'll just pull out the 8K, that was the budget change, out of the undesignated fund. So that was what others suggested today. So I will plan for the line I, if they fight me on it, then I'll just pull it out of the undesignated fund, so our levy doesn't change. Public Works overview, engineering is a new budget section, and really that is just because we spend money on engineering, and I want to be able to show where that's coming from instead of having separate line items in different accounts. Parks, trails, maintenance, recreation, arts and culture changed slightly. The instead of 550 for recreation, it is actually 3250. Our budget levy doesn't change, but I had found when I was cutting, I cut more than I thought I needed. I cut more than I did, but I didn't make the change in a different area. And then Drew and I found that today. So really what we're doing is we're giving $1,000 for youth baseball, youth football, and soccer. I have 2 parks maintenance buildings. And so that's why I didn't do that change. So that's our goal, is to be able to start. We had an issue last year, just, they were paying more in fees. They were doing the field maintenance and they really weren't getting what they should be getting back from us. So we have changed that. We are now in charge of field maintenance and budgeting, and making sure that is done, about the aerator for that exact reason. We are doing all of this kind of scheduling, all that kind of stuff, helping them get together, and we're giving a little bit of a fund to them to offset what they do for us. So building that relationship and kind of growing towards that hybrid department. Then conservation development, planning, zoning. Saw a major change, but that is really just staff and salaries going in and out. And then inspections was for bringing inspections in-house. Right now in the budget, based on year-to-dates and what we budget for staffing, training and travels and the licenses and permits that they need, it actually is less than we had for year-to-dates this year. However, to make sure we're making the right decision, we're going to look at other contracts and all of that just to make sure. And then the board will go through a job description, review that, and we'll go through that. So it's not going to be like January 1st, we approve this budget, we're hiring somebody. If we choose, we're still going with a consultant, we will make a budget amendment instead of having the separate breakouts. We'll just put it all back into the professional services line item. But I wanted to break it out because I'd rather break it out now change it, it'd be a lot easier than changing it to a different section. So again, just because you're approving this budget, you're approving the number amount. I'm not going to just generally want to hire a building inspector. We'll go through the process, and if it truly doesn't make sense to go through that, because I know commercial building permits is something that we need to really, we're doing right. And so making sure we have all those answers for pulling that trigger. So yes. Major capital projects, we will be buying a PD squad car. We'll be powering a Public Works F-550, ambulance and fire truck. So on those last two items, what I really like about our budgeting process is we don't take debt out until we actually spend the money. Last year, fire and EMS both needed an ambulance. However, that didn't happen just to scheduling issues and all that with the equipment. So we didn't have to pay that. We didn't take the debt out. So I just pushed it over another year, and we will take the debt out next year once we actually get the bill for it. So just because it was there last year, we didn't pay for it, and just push it over one more year. We'll pay for it next year. Parks, park signage, community park we're working on what phasing we want for that. Riverbend, the new park on the west side, that's on Carolina, Cedar Ridge, which is on James, and then Heritage Trail all next year. And then Belleville Utilities, we have the Northeast Sanitary Sewer Extension, we have the Facilities and Water Quality Plan, Trading Plan, and Well House number 2. So we got projects next year.
I question. Heritage Trail is the one in the south side of the Bill Fay property.
It is going behind the Bell West neighborhood, the tree line. Or
Like Albert,
Cole. It's
Albert's on the north side of town.
no, Albert is,
Albert Circle's on the north side of town.
Now in Albert on the west side, so Albert Avenue or Street.
and there is a park there that's got a detention plan right down the middle of it. Because I was up there looking at it.
So both parks, Riverbend and Cedar Ridge, will be started springtime, as soon as ground kind of thaws. We will get those projects in the ground. Should be done by September-ish of next year. And then the Heritage Trail, we're still kind of looking at what that fully looks like, but what we had decided a while back was it'd be an ADA trail to the river, kind of an overlook, and then more of, we're not a mountain bike, but more nature, cedar, wood chips type of trail that branches. So everybody will be able to go to the river. Eventually, if we ever wanted to put a bridge, we could. And then they'll have off days that'll go around with a quick trip and all that. And that'll start at the event.
I have another question, David, I didn't get the answer beside the park. I've had more people ask me whether or not we're gonna have a referendum on the community park and the Sugar River Park because of the cost it's going to do.
So the board at the last meeting has really, the park designs, I think there's still questioning on it, but we're gonna take it as much as we did with the kind of the developments. Is we know we kind of have this overall master plan, but we're gonna take it phases at a time. So right now, the Parks Committee at the next meeting is gonna look at phase 1, which is just the outside of community park. Nothing on the inside, none of the playgrounds or the ball diamonds or the parking, it's the outside. And then, once that's done, we will have conversations. Do we still like the inside plan or do we not? What does it look like? What does it not? And then allow us to capital plan for the future. Same with the Sugar River Park. So no, at this point.
Which is kind of interesting that we're doing it in phases, because won't
Financially, it makes most
run
sense.
into the problem of borrowing money that's over cap. Because of the cost of it. So with that being said, we want to know, is there going to be a public hearing on it? Because the residents would like this board to hear how they feel about.
The board can choose to do if they want to do a public hearing on it, but what I will say is all of our village board meetings are posted and anybody is welcome to come. My and Drew's and Ian's and Maren's And under, all the department heads are available to answer any questions. Our business cards are available at Village Hall. All the committee meetings are available to anybody to come. All of the trustees have emails. Reach out to them. If they don't have answers, they can reach out to me or Drew. The board can make the decision on public hearing. That's not my call, but there's many resources for residents to ask questions and come to. And I'm happy to answer any and all of those. I'd rather have questions than rumors. And the Parks Committee would be happy to have those conversations.
The problem with it is when you have a public hearing, everybody's there, you can hear the answers and what is being said.
Statutorily, we're not required to hold a public hearing for that. So once again, as Gabe said, it'd be up to the board.
It's up to this one.
We're holding a public hearing right now.
And I think
For the
that's,
park plans, we've had many public meetings.
Yes.
Yeah.
And special meetings for that, so.
Yeah.
I guess I don't understand what another public hearing would do.
As the chair of the Parks Committee, I can say nobody has ever reached out to me regarding this.
I wonder how many people in town know that you're the chairman.
Right on the website. So everybody should know. It's just a click away.
but this isn't on the agenda. So
No,
what I would say though is if somebody does have concerns, reach out to all of them, reach out to me, come to the Parks Committee, share your opinion. I can tell you this is not a quick moving process. And the first process does not have any of the interior stuff, which is really what people are more concerned about. The baseball diamond and the band shelter is not in the first phase. So I'm not even, I've kind of pushed it up to the side in my brain. I'm more working on the outside of the lake, kind of the parking, getting the shelters back up and running and all of that stuff rather than the inside. For my focus. And then the board at that point, as we go through phase two, if they choose to make it, just change their mind, they're more than welcome to, but that's just not where staff is focused on at this moment. Any more questions on parks?
no.
All of our special revenue funds are balanced. Relay cemetery, lack of better words, we didn't sell as many plots, so that's where the budget range is. I said it better this time than I did last time. I said last time that sales are down.
You said it perfect.
Library really was a no change. Wasn't much of a change in there. Lake and River is, we budgeted for special projects and studies to be done. All special revenue funds are separate and like the revenues that go into that stay there and the expenditures are all focused on one specific topic. So if the board at any decisions like we want to spend money out of our Lake and River Fund, you guys can do a budget amendment and change it just like that. So I haven't spent as much time on that during this process because you guys can change that throughout the entire year. Tax incremental financing, just now the day-to-day operations of TID 3. TID 5 has just audit and any minor attorney fees associated with that. Utility rate changes for 2026 or for 25. We have a 3% water. We're not seeing a sewer at this moment and a storm is 8%. I have TBD on sewer because we're doing the wastewater treatment plant study and there's too many things fluctuating right now. And so, what does that look like? What are the trends? But our goal is when water, you don't do sewer. When you do sewer, you don't do water. It's an overall goal. But we will be spending a lot of time next year with others to really dive more into that. So, anything to add on that? Yeah. That's the budget presentation. And then the other item that's attached is the 202-page budget document that is a KPIs, key performance indicators that we're trying to track for how departments are just doing and that area, staffing, payroll, debt, schedules and all that stuff.
Yeah, the staffing, this breaking the wages up into different departments. And if I'm reading this document correctly, I'd like to know why A has like 40% or 40 in water, 40 in sewer, about 80% of his wage in the utilities.
So if you look on page 35 of the budget document, I have 23% in water and 23% in wastewater. So the majority of my salary is not in,
So the majority of your salaries in administration,
is in the general fund or in the TIP.
but would be admin,
What,
admin,
the administrative assistant for Drew?
no, administration. As the village,
As a village administrator, I am the final authority over the, under the village board on all of our funds.
your wages,
Separated 30% in the administrative budget, 4% in the community development budget, 20% in TID, 23% in water, and 23% in wastewater.
okay.
And that's on page 35. That is all I had for you guys on a budget. My presentation part of this.
Questions from the board? Are there any other comments?
No one signed up for public participation. So
I have no idea what's the hearing.
it's in the agenda as a public hearing.
And I posted it in the newspaper and did all the publication.
There was hearings.
The agenda was posted in the proper locations. The public, I do have an affidavit of posting for the newspaper as required by law. I believe it went out. I didn't bring it with me though, this one. But I can tell you it was in the paper. Get my mouse to work. 23rd of October. 2 weeks ago.
You will not approve the budget tonight. If you don't make any changes, then the budget is going to be exactly how it is next week. And after that, 2 weeks, so your next board meeting, yeah. It'll be same as this with the new parks numbers. But it'll be that. And it'll be posted on our website as soon as I can get it updated and ready to go for your approval. It'll be up there probably tomorrow or Wednesday, and then it'll be attached to the agenda.
Seen these numbers many times. So this way, I don't care what I myself. Are there any other comments? I said this 3 times, so. Are there any other comments?
It was brought to my attention. People are wondering a little bit more about the price increase of water and sewer. If I recall, it had something to do with our water and sewer. Are you able to elaborate just a little bit to get people to understand why our water is going up a little bit?
Yeah, I can. I just clicked. So. I don't know where to start. I can slow down, and so I would start off with the beginning, if that'd be that idea.
Yeah.
So water in the state of Wisconsin, all water utilities are governed by the Public Service Commission, PSC, at the state level. And so there are 2 options to raise your fees. One is a simple rate case, which is what this is. It's something that's allowable based on the PSC's formula. If you meet the threshold, whatever the PSC's formula is for that year, you apply, and it's a real quick process. You get the usually it's 3% increase just to keep up with inflation. Or there's a a normal rate case in which you have a type of projects that you need to raise your rates for in order to cover the debt service for the projects. So based on the calculation the PSC has, taking into account depreciation of assets and everything, it expects every water utility to have a certain rate of return. And so most water utilities work at a deficiency of rate of return. And so it's important to keep up with the simple rate cases so that you can kind of keep up. I mean, you never get ahead of them, but kind of keep up. Because if you don't do that, and you are, let's say, 25% of what the PSC's rate of return is, when you go for a full rate case for that project or projects, the minimum amount that you will be increasing is to match what the PSC's match says you should be at. So let's say that you only need 10% increase for a certain water project and you go to them, well, you're looking at least a 25% increase based on there if you're that far deficient. And so this particular increase, January 1, is just a regular maintenance increase qualified for the ceremony case and just trying to keep up with that math. And I believe right now we're deficient by about 19%. So it's really important that when we have the opportunity to do these small increases, we do them. Because if not, we are going to get whacked across the face with a 2x4 when the project comes up. So that.
And whenever we do rates, we bring in others to make sure we are doing the right math and that you guys can understand it as much as we can, just everything that's going on. Yes.
Still in sewer report.
Yeah, well, we haven't started yet. That's shit.
Are there any other comments?
Went to the listening session at Belleville, and I want to reiterate that I thought it was a really good idea. I don't know other people thought. One of the comments that were made at that had to do with, police, administrator, others being more publicly visible, i.e. stopping in at local businesses. Coincidentally, in other discussions I've had, 2 other people mentioned the fact that they felt that we had a deficiency. We had the listening session, not quite sure how to get that so that it gets addressed. Or maybe what was in that meeting was incorrect, and maybe we need to get the word out of what the expectation should be.
There too. So, yeah, I would encourage many of the people to come to the board meetings or watch their comments there too.
Is that the answer I should give back? I mean, I just honestly am asking.
It takes extra effort to schedule another meeting. So.
Yeah, I don't think that it was a meeting per se. For example, I remember sitting in the ale house one night and I don't remember his name, the young blonde cop stopped by and just was doing community outreach. And it was very nice.
Well, we need to stick to budget related items at this hearing right now.
I apologize.
So-
This is from open.
No, this is the hearing on the budget.
Okay.
So, are there any other comments for the budget hearing? Are there any other comments?
I think you're good.
Are there any other comments? I like to do it 3 in a row.
I appreciate that. I'm gonna only put 3 in the minutes and not the 9 you actually said. Okay.
You were counting. That's good. I now close the public hearing at 6:49 PM. The old business, discuss and consider resolution 2025-32, street sweeper budget amendment. Drew.
Yes, last summer you guys entrusted me with effecting the purchase of a street sweeper to replace our 1993 Elgin. To go ahead with that, I have done that. It is all set in stone and it should be here around the new year. So now this is just our end, pay for it out of our stormwater utility. We have the money.
Move that we approve resolution 2025-32.
Motion by Gary, second by Shelley. Any discussion by the board?
But just to let you guys know, so we have plenty of money in the stormwater utilities, our designated fund. So even with this purchase, we still have enough money for Vine Street and we will still be within policy for that. So we're good.
Planning. Judy?
Street sweeper,
I'm sorry, yes.
I feel that we rob storm sewer to pay for things that are kind of, I mean, street should be paid for that, not storm sewer.
Street sweeper keeps debris and leaves things
The only
out of the
reason
storm sewers.
the street sweeper is so that we can clear debris so it doesn't fall into the storm sewer. That's the only reason. Communities without curb and gutter or without formal stormwater systems don't have street sweepers.
The street sweeper last year was used 3 times.
By the way, but that's.
That would be changing.
It is the correct fund for that to become.
I mean, my curb in front of the building I rent has been swept with a broom and a dustpan a number of times. And that's why
I would say, I think part of the reason it was used last year is that it was unreliable.
yeah, it was reliable. They broke it, put a lot of money into it. Because they got to clear the weeds first before they run the street sweeper. Or get caught up in the. Yeah,
But I think the plan is to increase the volume of the number of times we run it,
My
correct?
plan is to run it monthly.
I appreciate the FYI.
Any other comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Next item, discuss and consider the offer to purchase 1 West Main Street.
Yeah, so in a closed session, you authorized me to start negotiations. We negotiated at 310 for 1 West Main Street. I read our attorneys, I just needed to put in front of you, so you vote in session and approve the purchase. And we would start our process. We were doing the Alta survey and then the environmental phase 1. Effective now, just to make sure everything is good, especially as we're gonna add on, just make sure everything works as it needs to.
That includes like checking the HVAC.
It's more environmental than the Alta surveys are more, groundwork. Stuff, but we'll walk through and do all that kind of stuff. And then there is a contingency in there that the board has a walkthrough. So I can figure out how to schedule 2 of you at a time. If you want to go, if you don't want to go, then don't have to go. But we have built it in there so that you could if you would like.
I'll move that we approve the offer to purchase for 1 West Main Street.
Second.
Motion by Gary, second by Scott.
Yeah.
It's all we need.
Here's in discussion. I'm gonna say the same thing I said last time, that I don't think this is in the best interest. It's gonna, in my opinion, it is going to put us in a similar position that, you know, where Public Works is right now, prime real estate that's better suited for some type of commercial or retail business. You know, we're still going to be in the same situation we are now with using this room for meetings and administrative offices over in the current village hall. And I think it would be wiser to wait and it might take a couple of years, but planning out a more comprehensive building that incorporates everything into it, not take years. How many every years it will be in what's, one West Main and this building at the same time. So that's my opinion.
I would say this plan is. I think as far as it. It's down, okay. The commercial entity bought it. And, it saves millions of dollars. From us, so I think it's a good value for taxpayers.
Any other board comments? Judy?
I'm gonna agree with you, Mike. Main Street should not. I believe what Village Hall's gonna go in there. So we're gonna have 3 Village Hall facilities. No.
And sell the other.
Yes.
As the current Village Hall for sale, or put up for sale yet.
No,
Well, that would be premature to jump ahead that far. I mean, eventually it would go up for sale. Whenever a new village hall is,
the building moved in.
yeah, I mean, you have to have a current village hall. Well, whatever becomes a new village hall, it's built out and, put furniture and everything put in it. And all the utilities and electrical and networking and all that stuff. And then you have to vacate the existing hall into the new before you can sell that one. Otherwise, you're gonna end up in a mess. And regardless of where it is, whether it's with this One West Main or some brand new building somewhere else, that would be the same process.
We are taking away taxpayers and making them municipal property. And I don't know, I didn't go out to look to see how much the taxes are on that. When it's held as a business, whether there's a business or not, it pays taxes. Which is the higher rate than a municipal building. You don't pay tax. It's Main Street, for God's sake. You need a business down there. We just don't know how to market our community. And I know it's been up, you said, well, I can't say it's been up that long. It's been used as a mini warehouse for the pharmacy people. For excess merchandise for months. They're moving product in there, moving product out. You finally put it up for sales. But I agree, it belongs to a business entity, not a municipality. We took prime space to build a library on the bike trail.
All right, any other comments?
More of a
Ian?
direction on, or question of direction. So, if you guys approve, this tonight, I don't even know how you can pay for it. So will we be using cash or debt? So we will need a budget amendment. If we're using cash, it'll just come from the general fund, undesignated fund. If we issue debt, it'll be issued probably next year and we'll refund ourselves, but I'll still need a resolution for. Yeah, either way.
So we're gonna have purchase costs and we're gonna have the.
Upgrade cost.
Yeah, I'm not worried about those right now.
Well,
That we'll probably borrow, but we'll see how it works out.
Okay.
But for the purchase for sure, we're fine if we spend the cash to purchase. I'm not worried about that whatsoever. I just need to know which direction.
Brand designated fund is probably your best option.
yeah, I would think that would be the spot to do it, so.
Yeah, do you want that in the motion?
So I'll amend my motion to, that the purchase, or that the funds for the purchase be paid out of the undesignated fund balance.
Second.
If everyone's,
Or we all agree, you know.
yeah, if we all agree that we don't need to like second that or vote on it, if everyone's in agreement that the motion can be amended in that direction, so. Okay.
It's got a question.
Comment, I don't. I'd like to comment on the fact that the VF or the American Legion has been asking to buy this building for a long, long time. And they were told that no, there would be no foot traffic, there would be no taxes. I'd like to know what this building is doing for us now. There's the foot traffic coming in and out of here, and how much taxes are we paying on this building? Gee,
The VFW wouldn't pay any taxes either.
Right.
They're a nonprofit, so it would be the same on tax.
I don't understand. I'm just commenting. It really doesn't make good for Belleville not to be helping the American Legion. So maybe you should sell your whole building to them cheap.
To be fair, I actually just, that did occur to me. They're gonna have the same problems that we do. They're gonna have in terms of accessibility.
They were.
Just the problem with it.
It's gonna be just fine.
Might I have a question? Did the lease with the, get signed for commercial kitchen downstairs?
It's not that's August.
Is it going to be finalized?
Yeah, the attorneys are working on it.
Okay, so in other words, the paperwork hasn't been done, but they are going to put a commercial kitchen downstairs.
That is the last plan. The board has not seen the final agreement yet. The board gave me direction on what they wanted in the agreement. The attorneys are working on it. Once it's back, the board will review that.
And they'll be leasing in this building.
Pay out in wage right now.
Yeah, we're dealing with on West Main Street, not 150 South Main.
I know, but looking at income, this building and her comment about it.
Well, that's not the agenda item. So, regarding tax revenue from, if it's, the property on Main Street, there would be a shorter time where the village owns those properties until the other ones, the old ones sold. The way it works, I guess, would be unavoidable. Any new property wouldn't have taxes on it either. So it's just the transition process. And
Can you?
Yeah.
Whatever possibly be model the current village hall versus the famous one on the top.
If you put an elevator in, we do the work that needs to be done. It was a $9 million project. Get it ADA accessible, get the elevator in, get everything fixed up, the wiring, the HVAC, the everything. Where the other building's in much better shape, obviously, we'll make sure everything looks good prior to we sign on the final dot and all that kind of stuff. But cost wise,
It's in for way less than 9 million.
The original estimate from the last architect, I happen to have this on my desktop, was $7,756,000. We're going to get a new village, that was just Village Hall. So we're going to end up being in Village Hall probably for less than $756,000.
Thank you.
so, regarding remodeling of the current village hall, I assume that elevator is from the basement to the second floor. I mean,
you wouldn't stop it at that. Most likely.
that's where I push back on, do we actually need that amount of accessibility for the short term of, the anticipated, what is it? How long do we anticipate to be in West Main? If this goes through,
He'll be retired, dead for sure.
5 years, 10 years?
It was more of a 20 to 30-year layout.
So 20 to 30 years, you're gonna have two places. Is what you're telling me.
Yeah, I did,
Yep.
yeah.
That's how it worked.
So for 20 years, we're gonna have meetings here in Village Hall.
And elections here in the municipal court here, and then space can be rented out at any point in time. Groups can hold conference rooms at the conference room or closed session room right across the hall. This will be used downstairs at the industrial kitchen for the next 5 years that the board goes through with that.
See, that's where I think there's gotta be another option of some sort of, a lesser remodel of the existing Village Hall. Granted, the problem with that, some of that is the fact that, you have to work in there while remodeling is going on. But do you need an elevator to all floors? No, probably not. Do you? I mean, I'm asking the question, kind of, because I don't know how often everyone would need to go downstairs
The
to
building,
get papers versus a lift of some sort that a wheelchair could go on and get up the 3 or 4 steps to the upper office area. That's probably $10,000 for a lift. Or turn one staircase into a ramp if you have to, and remodel the front door,
and that was,
the bathrooms, and put cubicles in or something.
that was designed at the last board meeting, that layout of what that would look like. The board didn't like that.
Right.
The board directed me to go this route.
So. I just think if it's gonna be 20 years, we could find a better, new building solution possibly.
I mean, the new building solution that's what, when this was 10 million bucks.
But, okay, that was the Taj Mahal, I believe, we were talking about Public Works doing, getting a pole barn type storage facility quote. Haven't really seen that yet.
We're still
talking about that.
Right. So, and then, is there a Village Hall add-on to that building? Or you build something that's a Village Hall instead that incorporates the offices with the meeting area? That's where I'm coming from. So,
I get what you're saying, but I don't think I think you're underestimating the cost of redoing current Village Hall. Where it's for everything to bring it ADA compliant, we're talking almost $1 million. Even if we just have an elevator go 1 floor.
That's assuming they don't find.
that's if you're putting in an elevator from the basement.
The HVAC,
Does it need an elevator?
That's part of ADA requirement.
the other building does, to that credit, does not have an elevator. Does have a full storage in the basement and all that. But there's a lot more room in when you think of just outside of the elevator, the HVAC, you put up walls, you're gonna have to change all of that. Our systems at Village Hall, we have 5 furnaces, 4 or 5 furnaces out on the outside. Like, our building is not, AC, like, it's not.
You start pulling up the walls, the electrical. I mean, I've got a plug in my office that had a fire that was never rectified. I mean, they're gonna be, the minute you start messing with that building, you are going to find a lot of extra issues just because of the way it was built and what it's been through.
He's gonna miss working in a place that said, I
I just really feel we could find more comprehensive solution in less than 5 years. So, Judy?
Was there an inspection done on that, West Main?
We'll be going through that sale process.
Okay. Because my understanding from the pharmacist that were over there is the building has got some major problems.
You said to yourself, there's no elevator over there either. So when it comes to remodeling costs, the elevator's the biggest expense, I can guarantee that. So. And that's. It's moved between each location.
Land do you own with this?
Excuse me,
How much land do we own with this building?
this one,
This one,
I don't know how many acres, you know.
Oh, God, I don't.
do we use the parking lot?
Oh, we talking just with this building?
Right.
Yeah, it's the building, the parking lot, and then the entire drive, including the angle parking that goes behind.
Bunch of build on this building. And your office is here.
And I lose the parking.
Bravo doesn't have parking.
So why would we take more away?
I'm trying to find a place to go.
Wherever it can be put into the findings. That meet our needs, and we'll probably find some. It might take a year or two or something to find a solution, but I feel like this purchase is a bit of a knee jerk because it's available.
I think it's a good solution. I'll hand it off. So
I agree.
So,
Just like when we bought the building that we're in right now, that was when the two banks combined, they didn't want another bank, so they sold it to us dirt cheap, so.
all right, any other comments from the board? Tony? Nothing? Debbie?
No.
Scott? Deb? Gary?
No.
All right. Roll call vote, please.
Okay, President Service,
No.
Trustee Bateman,
yes.
Bongard. Yes. Cameron,
Yes.
Eichelkraut,
Yes.
Casthorn,
Yes.
Ziegler.
Yes.
It passes 1-6 to Bongard.
Okay. And that motion passes. That was to purchase with.
Correct.
So on to new business. Discuss and consider the 2026 fee schedule.
There are no changes. That is my presentation.
I will just say, as the reason that it's on here, even though there are no changes, it's because we do technically want to approve the fee schedule yearly. Just so that you guys are aware when we do make changes in the future. So even though there are no changes this year, we will be, the goal is to bring you the fee schedule every year.
So do we need a motion?
You will need a motion because we are basically approving the fee schedule.
I'll make a motion that we approve the 2026 fees. Second.
Motion by Deb, second by Debbie to approve the fee schedule. All those, any discussion?
Yes, I have a question.
All right.
So will we still be charging the sports groups?
We will be, because we are doing, the field maintenance, and that was the agreement. As long as we are able to kind of help them out, they're more than willing to pay the fees.
Okay. Thank you.
You took the votes that way.
Yeah.
Any other discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Just one FYI, I haven't run the numbers yet, using all the different variables, very likely. If we're, even contract with a different inspector or bring inspection services in-house, we could probably lower the building permits. I don't know exactly by how much, but the only reason they are as high as they are is due to PVC. Jack them back up a little bit, last year, so.
All right, report from commissions, committees, public works.
Dealt with whatever we needed to tonight. There will be a couple items at the December meeting that we're gonna deal with, regarding peak notifications and getting everybody to go to paperless billing. So we'll bring that back to the first meeting in December. And then we did approve some parking changes in front of the Grace United Church across from the old grade school. So, which we thought we had all taken care of before, but there were still some issues, so.
So that's.
Oh, we approved both fire budgets. The last meeting, we just
Proof to
approved the-
Exeter,
Three.
two sections of Exeter.
yeah, 3 small sections of Exeter Township into our EMS.
Finance and governance.
We did it tonight, recommended the budget, so.
Next will be ordinances.
Yeah, ordinances are next, so that'll be some good reading for everybody.
Operating
So,
snacks.
We're slugging through it. News and announcements. UFO Day was a great success. Upcoming community events.
Right, will be, I mean, we've got a couple weeks, but they're getting gearing up, ready to get prepped for Marion Bright. Also, we'll be talking all about the arts and culture. Looking forward to those this week.
And future agenda items. It's time. Budget will be. Cool. And I would entertain a motion.
Make a motion to adjourn. Aye.
Sorry about that.
Like.
Yeah, you sure did. All right.
Yeah, me either.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned at 7:16.